If you've ever played a Japanese role-playing game, then you already know they are chock full of unique mechanics and minigames. However, in all my years of binging countless JRPGs, there's one game that, to this day, remains unparalleled in terms of its several exceptional minigames and mechanics. That game is Dark Cloud 2. I could rant and rave about the various aspects of this game for days on end. The music, the story, the artwork, every facet of Dark Cloud 2 is extraordinary. But I already made a video about all that jazz, so I'm gonna cut straight to my thesis statement, my reason for making this video. I believe Dark Cloud 2 has not only the largest number of unique mechanics of any JRPG in existence, but it also has the best mechanics of any JRPG. I'll run through all the major in-game mechanics and explain why they work. And by the end of this video, I hope you'll have a better appreciation for why this game is so highly regarded by its fans. In any case, let's dive in, because I think you'll be surprised by just how much this 23-year-old PlayStation 2 title has to offer. I don't understand why so many game developers have such a fascination with fishing. Don't get me wrong, I love it, but doesn't it seem a little specific to be included in so many video games? My best guess is that a fishing minigame adds a lot of value for players, and it's pretty simple to program. Unless, of course, we're talking about programming fishing in Dark Cloud 2. Once you make it to Chapter 2 and talk to some whacked out furbits, they'll give you a rod and some bait. Congratulations! You've just unlocked the fishing minigame. You can fish in practically any body of water, including the dungeons, so long as you've cleared out all the monsters first. Depending on where you fish, what time of day it is, the weather, which rod, and what kind of bait you're using, you can catch up to 18 different kinds of fish, all at varying sizes and catch difficulties. And if that's not enough, the bait rod and lure rod provide two totally separate styles of gameplay. As you fish, you'll earn fishing points. Yes, that's actually what they're called. That you can use to level up 5 different stats on your rods, making your fishing experience even easier and faster. The distance to your hook is displayed in the bottom right corner, as well as the tension on your fishing rod. Reel in as quickly as you desire, but be careful. As you draw the fish closer, tension on your rod increases, and if it goes too high, the line will snap and you'll lose your fish. So, take measured breaks between reeling and make sure to jerk the rod in the direction of the arrows to assure your catch. Fishing is expertly handled in Dark Cloud 2. The large pool, pun not intended, of fish species encourages players to try out different kinds of bait and to switch up their fishing spots in order to catch new kinds of fish. It's exciting and rewarding to get the timing right and hook a fish on the line, and then you stay engaged with the reeling and pulling mechanics. There's just enough to keep track of that your brain is occupied, but not so much that it's overwhelming. And unlike certain other games, the fishing in Dark Cloud 2 hits the sweet spot in terms of difficulty. You will lose fish if you get lazy or fail to pay attention, but if you persevere and avoid making too many back-to-back mistakes, you can almost always catch the fish on your line. This mechanic is the perfect balance between relaxing and exhilarating, which is how any good fishing mechanic should be, since that's how fishing feels in real life. So, let's say you caught a chonker, a real prized catch. What now? Do you just buy a stove, cook the fish, and eat it during battle to restore HP? Sure, you could do that. Fishing's a great way to stock up on healing items. Or, you could mosey on down to the town square and enter up to 10 fish in the fishing contest, where people gather from all around to see who can catch the biggest fish. If your haul outweighs your competitors and lands you in the top 3, you'll get some valuable rewards that'll help you more quickly progress the game. And, of course, you get to keep the fish after, so you can just cook and eat them anyway. Keep in mind, though, it must be a fresh catch. You can only enter a fish into a contest once, and fishing contests are only held in limited time frames. But that's to their benefit. You see, if fishing contests were available 24/7, players would likely farm them a few times for rewards, get bored, and then never try them again. The fact that fishing contests are time sensitive means they feel exclusive, like they're a real limited time event. And because you can only enter a fish once, you need to catch new ones for each contest. You can't cheat the system by hanging on to the same 10 giant fish you've kept in your pockets for weeks. Every cast fills you with anticipation, knowing you might be one step closer to winning that grand prize. The contests are completely optional, of course, but if you're going to enter, you need to work hard to win. It takes skill, knowledge, and a whole lot of bait. Who doesn't love a good challenge? But Aiden, I hear you calling, what if I'm not into weighing fish and more into racing fish? Well, I'd say you're insane, because no game would have a mechanic where you can race fish.
And they're off. looks like some of our races are off to a shaky start. Whoa, number 4 isn't going out without a fight, and the lead is number 1, the clowner's Bonbon, and a close second is number 4, the competitive Subscribe.
Sorry, I forgot what game we were talking about for a second. In Dark Cloud 2, not only can you race fish, but you can feed them, breed them, change their gender with carrots, don't ask me how that works, or even make them fight to the death. It builds character, I don't know. When you've caught a fish you'd like to race, throw it in your aquarium. From there, you can name it and feed it to level up its 5 abilities. Different food increases different stats, and fish can only be fed once every 2 real-life minutes. Making a strong fish takes some time and dedication. You can breed your fish by putting them into the love tank, producing a child whose stats are a combination of their parents. Tragically though, both parent fish always die when reproducing. Coincidentally, that's probably what'll happen to me if I ever get laid. Once you're satisfied with your fish's attributes, you can enter them in up to 3 races at the Finny Frenzy, where they will go toe-to-toe with the nation's fastest fish. Pick a class, a racing style, and away they go. If your fish wins a race, there's a whole slew of valuable prizes available to claim. But make sure you pay attention to your fish's mood. That can completely change the outcome of a race and potentially cost you precious rewards. No, I'm not kidding. Your fish have temperament. Oh man, I spent all this time breeding the perfect fish only for them to be a sore loser. Oh well, into the love tank you go, where you'll fertilize and then become fertilizer. If you want a powerful group of fish to dominate the races, you'll have to dedicate real time to fostering and breeding your fish. So, if you're the kind of person who likes to speed run through games, unlocking everything as fast as possible, Finny Frenzy is not for you. However, if you're like me and enjoy a challenge that requires dedication and diligence, slowly growing your fish empire until you sweep the competition, you will love this game mode. Watching your fish rising through the ranks, slowly dominating each class, all the while earning you boatloads of rewards, is incredibly satisfying. And it leaves me feeling like a proud parent. Don't judge me, okay? You get kind of attached to these fish after a while. Dark Cloud 2 involves quite a bit of time travel, but moving to and from the future is not without its consequences. It creates these time distortions and time distortion fragments, also called spheres, that'll make you sick if you're around them for too long. They need to be dealt with, and you can get rid of them by returning the fragment to the distortion it came from. But if you touch either one with your bare hands, you will be instantly vaporized. The solution? Grab a big stick and hit the sphere back into the distortion. However, the sphere changes color every time it collides with the surface, alternating between red and blue. You can only clear a time distortion if the sphere and distortion are different colors, so get creative with your shots. Like fishing, you can play Spheda in any dungeon floor after all the monsters have been defeated. There are 6 different clubs to choose from, each with their own range and attributes. You can also attack monsters with them. They're not particularly effective, but with enough XP you can actually upgrade your club to the next tier, so there's real incentive to beat clowns to death with your golf clubs. I love this game. The first time you finish Spheda on a level within the allotted amount of strokes, you'll get a super valuable prize, and pretty decent prizes each subsequent win on that floor. But because the potential rewards are so great, the game is really freaking hard. Okay, if I use just the right amount of topspin with the flamingo and bounce it up the southeast wall, I might be able to— oh, damn it! Why did it bounce that way? Although, certain dungeons are easier to play Spheda in than others, so if it's too challenging, you can always just try in a different spot. Despite its difficulty, Spheda is actually very fun, and there's nothing like the feeling of finally sinking that sphere into the time distortion.
Holy shit!
The photography mechanic in Dark Cloud 2 was kinda revolutionary for its time. Players can take photos of whatever they want, save them to their console, and even share them to other devices. More than that, photography has in-game functions as well. Talking to Donnie gives you the Inside Scoop memo, which is filled with hints about possible photo opportunities. Snap a photo of the right thing at the right time and you'll get a scoop. Get enough scoops and Donnie will give you some sweet rewards, as well as hints for some new scoops to chase down. You need to be vigilant if you're trying to get them all, because there are scoops you can miss. And Donnie wants those juicy action shots, so some scoops require putting yourself in serious danger. If you're not interested in the journalism scene, you can try your hand at inventing. When you take a photo of pretty much anything in the game, Max will get an idea. You can save these ideas to your photo album/idea book. Navigate to the inventing tab, select 3 compatible ideas, and Max has just come up with a new invention. Once you've purchased the necessary supplies, you can craft as many of these inventions as you can carry. Inventions vary from bread and clothes all the way to giant robot weapons and powder that brings people back to life. If you pick ideas that don't work together, Max won't be able to think of anything and it's back to the drawing board. However, scattered throughout the world of Dark Cloud 2, there are posters that give clues as to possible invention combinations. And if only 2 of the 3 ideas work together, you'll get a hint as to what that 3rd idea is. My personal advice? Snap pictures of literally everything, and then take an hour and have some fun mixing and matching ideas. You'll invent a cavalcade of useful items and stylish cosmetics in no time. Speaking of cosmetics, there's one major way to get your hand on most outfits in the game: medals. Medals are awarded when players complete a challenge. There are all sorts of interesting and unique challenges, such as clear a dungeon floor using only items, defeat all enemies within a certain time limit, or with only Monica's left-handed weapon, catch a fish of a certain size, finish the Spheda on that floor, or, my personal favorite, don't die. Medals can be used to purchase all kinds of outfits for Max and Monica from Mayor Need. Don't ask me why this guy is carrying around a bunch of costumes for teenagers. It's better if you just don't think about it. You can also buy name change tickets from Need, which lets you pull the infamous trick of renaming a weapon to the name of another existing weapon, which will transform the weapon in the process. People use this trick to get endgame weapons way earlier than otherwise possible. As for me, I think it's much more rewarding to play through the game with your weapons at the appropriate level. I use name change tickets exclusively late game when I already have maxed out gear, and I just want to try out some other endgame weapons for fun. Truly, the most one-of-a-kind mechanic in the Dark Cloud series has to be their weapon build-up system. I've never seen anything like it before or since. Defeat an enemy with a weapon and you'll pick up absorption points, or ABS for short, which is essentially experience for that weapon. Collect enough experience and your weapon will level up. It'll get a small boost to a few stats and gain synthesis points, which you spend by breaking down items and fusing them into your weapon, strengthening it further. Once your stats hit certain thresholds, you can build up your weapons. Building up a weapon changes its appearance and gives it a huge power boost. Usually you'll have 2 or sometimes 3 options to pick from when you build up a weapon. Depending on what you choose, Max's gun, for example, has a machine gun tree, a laser gun tree, and a rocket launcher tree. There are lots of weapon options to choose from, and I mean lots. Every weapon has its own nuanced abilities. Some are faster, some inflict status effects, some can absorb elemental attacks and send them back, and some, like Monica's armband, behave and appear differently based on which elemental stat is the highest. Monica even has a sword that transforms at nighttime to do increased damage. Barring inventory space, there's no limit to how many weapons you can hold, so it is possible to level up a few different weapons and switch them out based on the situation. And in addition to the weapon's inherent skills, you can give your weapons tons of new abilities using coins. Here's a list of the different abilities you can get by synthesizing coins into your weapons. Whenever you defeat a new monster, they'll be recorded in your monster notes. These notes are packed with useful information, including how many ABS points and Gilda you'll receive for defeating them, their elemental weaknesses, which weapon types are most effective against them, which are ineffective, and what items they might drop. If you're ever stuck on a particularly difficult dungeon floor, check out your monster notes and try to exploit the enemy's weaknesses. It makes a big difference. What I like most about this weapon system is that you can be as involved as you want. If you don't care about min-maxing, you can just upgrade your original weapons however you like. Maybe you just pick the ones that look the coolest. Alternatively, you could have 3 or 4 weapons from each tier, all with their own specialized stats and abilities, switching them out depending upon which enemies your weapon is most effective. You really get as much as you give when it comes to the weapon building system in Dark Cloud 2. If I haven't sold you on the game yet, let me show you this. A giant, customizable robot mech of destruction. And his name is Steve. Steve begins as a podunk passion project between Cedric and Max, but quickly turns into an absolute unit. You can invent and buy new arms, legs, bodies, and energy packs to make Steve even stronger. Equip him with dual katanas for short-range fighting, barrels that shoot lasers for medium range, or Nova cannons harnessing the power of the mother-loving sun for long range. Just make sure you've got enough capacity to hold all those fancy schmancy upgrades. You earn experience by defeating enemies with the Ridepod, but rather than building building up his parts as you do with Max and Monica's weapons, you instead spend the EXP at Cedric's shop, where you can buy new attachments or upgrade Steve's core. Upgrading his core not only raises his maximum defense, but it also lets old Steve hold more weight, so you can equip him with higher level attachments. Buying shield kits also raises his defense. Instead of health, Steve has a fuel gauge that drains slowly over time or quickly when he takes damage. You can upgrade his energy pack to increase its capacity, effectively giving Steve more sustainability. If he takes too much damage though, his fuel will burn out and he'll break down. You'll need to refuel Steve to get him up and running again. The Ridepod is sick as hell. But you don't need me to tell you that. I mean, look, there's a friggin' motorcycle attachment. It speaks for itself. There's a veritable arsenal worth of upgrades for Steve, and you can customize him for whatever type of battle suits you best. He is so much fun to use. He's very strong, especially early game, and I just love everything about him, except maybe the voice box. Think twice before buying that upgrade. Steve is, to put it lightly, annoying.
Piece of cake! I'm gonna get you guys! Gotta hang in there! Not doing too bad! Wait till they get a load of this!
Max is to the Ridepod as Monica is to Monster Transform. Throw a monster a gift capsule full of things they like, and their badge will be added to your badge box. Now you can transform into them. Monsters of that type will no longer try to fight you, and you can even talk to them and get hints as to what kind of gifts other monsters might like. You'll start as a level 1 monster, of course, but as you defeat enemies in Monster Transform, you will level up, become stronger, gain new abilities, and even change your appearance. Anyone who's beat Dark Cloud 2 will tell you, Monster Transform is not the strongest ability in the game. It takes a long time to level up, and you can only use it for a relatively short time. However, in defense of this mechanic, there are truly so many other ways to strengthen your character and weapons, obtain high-level items, and min-max the snot out of this game. Monster Transform does not make the game easier. It makes the game more interesting, and I think that's even more valuable. Players can use it creatively to get out of a sticky situation, or if they're just bored of regular combat. The designs you unlock at higher levels serve as incentive to strengthen your monster, and it gives players yet another goal to work toward. Besides, who doesn't want to fly around as a fire-breathing dragon? Now that's just good, clean fun. Georama is the town building mechanic in Dark Cloud 2. In the dungeons, you'll find blueprints called geostones. Give the geostone to this thing called the Carpenterian, and it'll be able to build new structures. Acquire materials by purchasing them in the shops or finding them in dungeons, and now you can create buildings, plants, and much more. Now, here's the thing. After you've built your town, you can travel 100 years into the future to see how your creations evolved and changed with time. Fulfilling a number of requirements, like building certain structures or inviting specific people to live in the area, will cause a big change in the future. This furthers the story and potentially unlocks new items and areas. Georama excels because it's so customizable. Sure, there are requirements you need to hit in order to progress the game, but they're flexible. Plant 10 trees, put a fence around this house, place 15 river parts. Not particularly challenging or creatively limiting tasks. Because the system allows for so much freedom, you can really make the world your own. Put as much effort as you want into building out each region. If you're only in it for the combat, just dump a couple buildings here and there, meet the requirements, and move on. But you can create beautiful landscapes with painted cathedrals, long iron fences, and food stands. One region, called Balance Valley, introduces a weight mechanic in which the amount of structures on 4 separate pillars must be equal at all times. Another, Heimrada, sits at the base of a volcano, and anything wooden will go up in flames. So you need to adjust and build everything out of metal or stone. Moonflower Palace is full of reference pictures you must carefully follow when building your garden. Small changes like this is what makes each region feel distinct and gives them personalities of their own. Additionally, the changes in the future establish a real feeling of progress. And if that wasn't enough, there are tiny little chests hidden around the future that give items which increase maximum HP or maximum defense for your characters. Truly a one-of-a-kind mechanic I've never seen replicated outside the Dark Cloud series. In Dark Cloud 2, you can recruit NPCs to join your party by completing various tasks for them. Some are as simple as buying and delivering an item. Others require you to put some real work in, like catching a giant fish or beating Sheriff Blinkhorn's near impossible running time. Once an NPC has been recruited to your party, you can move them into a vacant house to fulfill Georama requirements. Some NPCs have preferences for their house's appearance, so you'll need to meet those before they can move in. But NPCs are useful for more than just Georama. Every NPC you recruit can be added to your party where they will provide some kind of boon. Some have active abilities where they give you items, some straight up make you more money, some have more unique features like Cedric, who can repair and upgrade the Ridepod, or Pow, who can detect mimics before you open them. Saves you from a real heart attack. Arguably more important though are the NPCs' shops. Pretty much any mechanic in this game requires supplies. You need bait for fishing, clubs for Spheda, materials for inventing, so on and so forth. The best and sometimes only way to get these materials is to recruit the NPC who sells them. And there's a shop for just about anything you'd need. Weapons, materials, upgrades, consumables, and of course, cosmetics. Ah, at long last, the striped dress, indisputably the best outfit in the game. And all I had to do was clear 10 levels of Spheda. Piece of cake. In summary, Dark Cloud 2 has a lot of unique mechanics. A fishing minigame and 2 fishing contests, Spheda, photography, inventions, medals, weapon upgrades, Ridepod customization, monster transformation, Georama, and NPC recruitment and shops. Maybe not every mechanic is truly one of a kind. Loads of games nowadays have some kind of fishing minigame, but Dark Cloud 2 is truly unique in how in-depth its mechanics are. Take the fishing, for example. I've yet to see another game with optional fishing mechanics that has 2 types of fishing, multiple lures and baits, rod stat points, 18 fish types, different catches depending on location or weather, a weight contest, breeding mechanics, and freaking fish races. In this instance, Dark Cloud 2 blows all other games out of the water. That pun was intended. Not to mention, some of the mechanics I've brought up hardly ever appear in games anymore, photography being my personal favorite. Taking pictures of objects around the world and making inventions based on them, sleuthing around, snapping photos of rumored ghosts and peculiar enemy behavior, it's so clever, charming, and creative. And remember, this game released in 2002. It was revolutionary, at least in terms of mechanics for a game of its time. It's a shame next to nobody knows about it because Dark Cloud 2 is an incredible work of fiction. And so many popular games are built on ideas spearheaded by Level 5 Studios, who created Dark Cloud and Dark Cloud 2. I've played this game off and on since I was 8 years old. Now I'm 23 and I'm still not bored of it. That's all thanks to the many in-depth mechanics that exist in Dark Cloud 2. I've yet to build up every weapon or even figure out how lure fishing works, because there's so much stuff to do, stuff that hasn't been replicated in any game since. And that's why I believe the mechanics in Dark Cloud 2, despite being over 2 decades old, remain some of the best mechanics in the history and possibly future of video gaming. Thanks for watching! Click here to watch another video where I summarize the entire plot of Dark Cloud 2, and I gush about its music for a little bit. If you found this video essay entertaining, consider leaving a like, or subscribing to the channel if you want to hear more rants about my favorite video games. I also upload animatics and story times, and hey, if live streaming is more your thing, I stream art and games over on my Twitch channel AidanSketches every Friday, Tuesday, and Sunday. Special thanks to channel members Mythica, Sphere's Edge, Catherine, CatCat5, Aidan's Left Elbow, Elliot, Naaman Maze, Irigamoi, and Thin Pillow. Your support really means the world to me. It's only because of you that I get to chase after my dream job and make videos like this one. So again, from the bottom of my heart, thank you. Thank you to everyone who made fan art. It looks amazing, and I will see you all very soon with another video. Hasta la pasta! Later!